We are back and live at Magnet Network Live. I'm your host, Maggie John, and we now have Strac Ivanov with us. He is the founder and CEO of Vicinity Jobs. Strac, really, Vicinity has been one of the leading organizations when it comes to job data. Talk to me about job posting, job data, and what you're seeing the trends are right now.
Well, job postings are a major source of labor market information. They haven't always been. That's something that we started doing actually back in 2006, but it has taken a while for the mainstream of economists to actually adopt it. However, this has happened now, and there is a wealth of information that you can get from there. When you think about it, it is actually a fairly intuitive thing. When job seekers and employers want to connect, they now would go online. That's the place where a lot of these connections are happening. And as they do this, they leave a fairly large footprint. So the job seekers leave very often their resumes, information about the skills that they have, the type of job they're looking for, and employers about their requirements. So using this information to understand what's going on is quite valuable because you can get into a level of detail that is a lot more aligned with that is a lot deeper than what you can get through surveys, for example, through traditional methods of collecting labor market information. But it also gives you the opportunity to track what's happening in real time and to understand how things are changing this month versus last month versus the same time last year versus the same time 5 years ago. So that's the power, and that's the opportunity actually that the job postings data provides. We have been using the information to look into various aspects of the changes that the market is going through. So how has AI, for example, impacted the demand of skills, the demand for AI skills and the surrounding skills, other skills around this? That's one of the things that has been of a lot of interest lately. But also things like looking at or trying to understand a little bit better what have the impacts been of, so how has the market changed, for example, since COVID? Are there differences between what employers wanted before COVID and after? Of course, it's a little bit difficult to pick apart the impact of all of these changes.
Right.
But it has been actually quite exciting. So the green, the so-called green skills, or the greening of the economy, is it creating actually more demand? Is it so? How is all this changing? So these are some of the questions that a lot of our partners and clients have been using our data to actually trying to get answers to. And of course, trying to make sure that the data is well aligned also with what traditional sources are saying. And that is also so there's quite a bit of work on that front that, for example, the Labor Market Information Council in Ottawa has done, comparing job postings data and the findings of job postings data with the higher level findings from the Statistics Canada surveys on job vacancies.
And how are you seeing the trends change in the way that people are just even looking for jobs than they were maybe 5-10 years ago?
I think one major thing, when we started, one of the first things that we did, and that was part of our business at the start, was we started operating job aggregators. We were among the first companies actually to launch a job aggregator. So at the time we had to explain to people what a job aggregator was. So at the time it was a lot more difficult to get information about job vacancies. You had to go to a number of websites. That has changed. A lot of it was not being published because it was difficult for the job seekers to find them, so it was less worth it for employers to advertise them. One thing that I think has happened that has made that is quite remarkable is that employers seem to be a lot more likely to advertise job vacancies right now. There is a much larger share of the jobs are actually being advertised online because the online marketplaces and the online communication channels have become a lot more effective, and it's a lot easier to actually reach to reach their
Were they not
audience.
advertising before? How were they getting
When we
the word out?
started, actually, the conventional wisdom was that something like only 20% of the job vacancies were advertised online. You have to actually you have to network and you have to connect with people to find out about them.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are still, there's actually some research now that you can do comparing number of job postings and jobs that are advertised online. Statistics Canada is doing some of that research now. At the time, it wasn't. But at the moment, I think depending on where you look, you're a lot closer to somewhere between 80 and 90 something percent. So I think that's actually a welcome trend. Well, it's good for us because we get to actually understand and analyze the data. So it gives us a lot more insight into what's going on. But that's also great for the people who are looking for work. Of course, networking is still important, just connecting with the right people. But it was about it. If you leave it up to networking, for people to connect, for people to even find out about opportunities, then you're creating, I think, a labor market that automatically excludes people who don't have those connections. Right. So if you're a newcomer, if you come from a family that doesn't have any, or from a family or a circle that doesn't have any connections in the field that you're trying to get in, it doesn't matter how good your skills are or how motivated you are. You may not be able to just break in because there's no one to introduce you.
Yeah. You alluded to AI, and you're seeing a lot more, more employers looking for skill sets in the AI world. Talk to me about that.
It has been actually quite interesting what we have found. And there will be actually some more information coming out shortly with a study that we did in partnership with Vector, the Vector Institute here in Toronto, and with the conference board. So I'll leave it for them to explain more of the details. But something that we have been seeing is that the emergence of AI skill and the adoption of generative AI has not necessarily translated in the type of change that we would have expected. So yes, we are seeing different types of jobs now that require some sort of AI skills. So it's spilled more into it was very concentrated before into software development, very technical roles. Now it's spilled into other roles as well. So that's something that you would probably expect to see. But one thing that we are seeing is that there is there's a move away from the development of AI technologies, especially in Canada, that we're seeing, and more towards the use of AI technologies. So if companies before would have said, I want to develop something that I can use that will give me a competitive advantage, it seems that now it's more like there are all of these products that are out there already. Companies have invested billions of dollars of building. I can't build something that is as close to this, that is even close to this. So things like prompt engineering, for example, or the ability to use those, the knowledge about what is out there and how to use it has become more important.
Talk to me about your partnership with post-secondary institutions and trying to work alongside them as, recent grads are also looking for work.
Yeah, so in our case, our focus is where we are right now with Vicinity Jobs is not necessarily to tell you what individual vacancies are available right now, right at this moment, because you can find this out through, for example, Indeed, through illuminate here in Canada. It is more to understand what the trends have been and where universities and colleges in particular are using our data is to understand what demand is there for educational programs to be launched or even potentially to be changed. So you need, when you're building any type of an educational program, whether it's a degree or whether it's a micro-credential or just a class that you want to bring to the market, the first thing you need to find out is there a demand for this?
Right.
And what is there a demand for that we should be teaching? But also, so once you understand this, So yes, there is a demand for this particular skill, but there isn't. It's very rare that someone would get hired for one particular skill. What other skills do people need to have as a set in order for them to be able to do this job? So that's the type of research that we're doing. Universities and colleges in particular use our data very much to understand what have employers in their region and industries of interest what have they been looking for, what skills have they been demanding, who are those employers. Of course, we can engage them as well, so from a purely practical standpoint.
Yes.
But what are what are the things that we should be teaching in order for the program to be relevant? Because in the end, you want your graduates to be able to get into this job market. You want to teach them the skills that will make them attractive to those employers.
Yeah, and be employable. Thank you so much, Strac, for your time today.
Thank you very much.
That was Strac Ivanov. He is the founder and CEO of Vicinity Jobs.